up, guys? How we doing today? Ryan here. Today we're talking about Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. It's February 17th. The movie just came out. Got some thoughts on it. They're pretty positive thoughts. I mean, this film is getting some average to low critical response. It seems a lot of people are kind of hating on it, and I'm not going to say that I can't understand some of the negativity, but I thought it was very entertaining, and there are some pretty solid characters and exciting moments in here. Yeah, this video is going to be a spoiler talk, so this is for the viewers who have already seen the film. This film kicks things off with a scene in the quantum realm between Michelle Pfeiffer, obviously Janet Van Dyne, and then Jonathan Majors, who we'll know is some version of Kang. They get to that later. They get to that exact scene and what that's all about. They build up to Kang quite a bit in this film for a little while. And it is kind of interesting the way they keep talking about this conqueror. And they keep talking about somebody who everyone in the quantum realm is very afraid of. Getting to the quantum realm itself, that is the whole film. I mean, it makes sense based on the trailers and based on the title, I guess, and everything else. First and foremost, I did find that the quantum realm is a fascinating place to look at. They did good work with just making it very vibrant and making it pop, super creative, tons of interesting designs for the living species there. Very Star Wars, like I thought. I enjoyed that. Just it felt very fun and creative being in the quantum realm throughout this film. Janet was really afraid of them going into the quantum realm or dealing with it at all. And they continued to be like, well, why aren't you telling us anything? Gradually, we finally get to learn about everything because Janet was there for 30 years and she learned a lot, but she also got involved with Kang. I think it's really fitting that Janet was kind of like a main character, more so than the rest of the supporting cast, if that makes sense. Michelle Pfeiffer delivered on a very strong performance throughout this film, and she really stood out as Janet. She did everything that she thought was possible to do what seemed like the right thing. Obviously, that backfired when Kang got to literally conquering the entirety of the quantum realm. Janet experienced things that were terrible there, mainly with Kang, so of course, she just wanted to hold back. She just wanted to go back to the reality, to go back to Earth and just be a mom to Hope and be with Hank and everything, you know. The dynamic between the family here is one of the main aspects of Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Scott talks about Cassie and how he missed those years. Now they're together, and it really shows later on in the film when he realizes that Kang was not keeping his word and he becomes Giant Man and goes after Kang with all his force. It really brings out the father in him trying to protect Cassie because of the years of mistakes that have been made in his complicated life and relationship with his daughter. And I really like the chemistry between Catherine Newton and Paul Rudd as Cassie and her father, Scott. I really like this new Cassie. I mean, she is older now, but she's still young, so she's still not a full-blown adult that has all this life experience, but she's got really good intentions. She's got a really good heart, but she's feeling a little rebellious, but she's brilliant, just like the rest of her family. Makes sense that she would have her own suit and everything, and that was actually cool. And she learned a lot from her father in this as well. So moving forward, I could see how she would be a pivotal part of what will probably be the Young Avengers. So I like that. I like Catherine Newton as Cassie a lot. I think that this character is really finally established, if that makes sense. Paul Rudd continues to be very, very delightful and fun as Scott Lang. He does bring out the seriousness when he needs to, I think, just enough. I mean, he's a funny character, but very enjoyable. I really loved him in all the films so far, and I like the actor in general. I think that Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania has one thing that a lot of people are gonna complain about, and that's maybe too much comedy. I don't necessarily agree because, like, I think it did deliver with its comedy. I got a lot of good laughs, and I felt like it was very fun as a result, and it makes sense following up on two Ant-Man films that also really thrived on their comedic tone. But maybe just because the MCU has been around for a while now, we've gotten so many films that relied heavily on comedic relief and jokes and everything, I can understand some criticism there. One thing could probably be said about MODOK, right? This was an interesting decision here. I already knew a little while back that Corey Stoll was casted as MODOK, so that raised some interest because he played as Yellow Jacket. You know, he played as Darren in the first Ant-Man, a villain that didn't necessarily stand out in retrospect because it's a carbon copy type villain, which the MCU films did a lot of. Ant-Man had destroyed his suit and everything in the first film. Kang found him and turned him into MODOK. I don't know how I feel about this entirely because I got some good laughs. They're pretty much making fun of him. In a way, it was fun, but I think they played off MODOK as a joke in this film. And MODOK is literally something designed to kill, so it's supposed to be this threatening force. And while you could feel the threat time to time with MODOK in this film, it never seemed serious enough when the helmet or mask would be lifted up and you would see Corey Stoll's face blown out of proportion. And, you know, just right then and there, it's a little uncanny, it's a little corny, it's weird, it's funny. Like, I did get good laughs when they made jokes alongside this character, but I think ultimately they could have probably not even had MODOK in this film. I'm not really sure how to do MODOK right. I mean, of course, there are fun ways to do it, and there's also serious ways to do it. Maybe not the best thing, and I think that's probably one thing that I almost feel like if you looked at the script and you took out moments with MODOK, Darren, right, you just cut all that out, I think that the film would still work just as well. So that's that. I think that's completely worth noting. Fortunately, the main antagonist in Kang the Conqueror is fantastic. I had a feeling going in, and I'm super satisfied and super excited now that we've seen Jonathan Majors play this main role. We got it teased in Loki with the multiversal war coming. We got it teased with He Who Remains and the sacred timeline and the variants of him and him calling himself a conqueror. And now we get to see it in full motion, and we get to know that, of course, Kang will return. The Avengers film coming out in 2025 is called The Kang Dynasty, and we are going into Secret Wars from there. So big things coming with Kang, and it is so exciting. This is the next big bad. This is like the Thanos. That was the Infinity Saga. Now we're in the Multiverse Saga. And I think that Majors did such a good job in this role. I think that, first of all, he just has the physical prowess and he has the skills acting wise to deliver on this threatening force of nature, his vocal delivery and everything. And I did really like what we got with this character. I liked that we were building up to it. Everyone's talking about the Conqueror, Scott, and everybody else not knowing what they're talking about, and Janet knowing but not wanting to talk about it until she did. And then it was really interesting seeing the way he completely conned Janet back then, the way she saw his mind and saw the universes that he's been to, and the way he's just destroyed timelines and killed actually billions, trillions of people just to be on top, so to speak. I like this character a lot already, and I cannot wait to see more of it, seeing how much power he has. And they talked about him having technology and skills and everything, just like so much more advanced than everything that they've already seen. It's hard to have a villain who's so powerful without nerfing them a little bit, but this is only the beginning. So I didn't actually expect to see a win from Kang yet, but I'm so glad the way they ended it, where you get the perfect blend of Scott talking about how he won, and then he's like, oh, but maybe not. He warned me about everyone dying if you don't get me out of here, this and that. And then, oh, but it's okay, right? And he just kept thinking about it. And that has an interesting sense of dread in there. And I really like that. And then, of course, the mid and post-credit scenes were about Kang. Awesome that we got the Council of Kangs. That was really cool stuff, where they showed them realizing that this one that they exiled has, you know, been taken out by other people, and they're like, you know, they're interfering. And then they show all these different Kang variants. Very cool, because that's the whole thing with the multiversal war and all the Kangs fighting to be on top. They showed us that in Loki. And then the post-credit scene, Tom Hiddleston as Loki and Owen Wilson as Mobius. And they are in a crowd of people, and then there is Jonathan Majors there talking about time. And of course, that's a variant of Kang. And Loki was like, that's him. Just super exciting stuff, because watching this film, hard not to think about Loki and the Sacred Timeline and the TVA and what Loki and Sylvie did in the end, of course, and then He Who Remains, right, where we first saw Jonathan Majors as a variant of this exciting new character. Season 2 of Loki is set to come out in the summer, I believe, so that should really follow up. Maybe not like directly to this Kang, but I feel like it's gonna have some strong connections, obviously, right? So exciting there. I mean, the whole idea with Kang is that like this was not just the villain of the Ant-Man film, but this is the villain of the Marvel Cinematic Universe's next big saga. So we entered phase 5 here with Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. The film was definitely entertaining. I got a lot of good laughs out of it, and I can't really complain about it being overly comedic. I didn't think that it took too much away, not in my opinion. I thought it was a pretty fun film, but like more so than anything, I think that we had some really great characters. We're obviously getting more Kang. We're going to see Jonathan Majors appear more than once again and being the main antagonist to all the Avengers, this and that. But this film had good performances there. I think that Janet as a main role really stood out. Loved Paul Rudd again as Scott Lang and Ant-Man here and his dynamic with his daughter. Very well fleshed out new version of Cassie. I really like that, and I'm looking forward to seeing more of Catherine Newton in there. I know we will. Michael Douglas stood out as he does as Hank Pym. I think there were some funny moments in there and stuff. And I just really enjoy the chemistry between everybody. And yeah, it's a fun film. Bill Murray, his little appearance as a guy who we found out was a traitor was fun. It was a short scene, but he actually delivered some pretty good lines in there, and I really like that. Very cool, crazy concepts here with realm between time and space and then multiverse and stuff. It's getting pretty complicated, heavy sci-fi stuff here in this film. A lot of exciting stuff to come with the MCU now that we're in this phase here. Overall, I thought this film was very entertaining. Kang is awesome. So that's gonna be my thoughts. Thank you for tuning in, guys. I appreciate your time here. Let me know in the comments below what you thought about Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania.